They say that evil preys on the weak, the lost, and the desperate, that darkness seeks out the cracks in your soul to poison your spirit. But what happens when evil encounters a man who is not a house of cards, but a fortress of stone? A man whose silence is a weapon and whose past is his armor, a man who has already faced the abyss and returned with its wisdom. What happens when malevolence, in all its cunning and deceit, comes face to face with a soul so thoroughly forged in the fires of self-awareness that it offers no purchase for manipulation? Welcome, gentlemen, to the Sigma male community, the one place that understands that true strength isn't shouted from the rooftops. It's lived in the quiet, unshakable core of your being. Today we delve into the profound and often misunderstood reasons why a higher power, the universe or God, seems to place an impenetrable shield around certain men, protecting them from the toxic and malevolent forces that ensnare so many. These aren't random blessings. They are the earned consequences of a disciplined mind and a sovereign spirit. 1. The unbreakable silence speaks less, but silence cuts deeper. Forget shouting matches and emotional pleas. Your power weaponizes absence. When toxicity throws bait, the drama, the guilt trips, the manufactured outrage, your response isn't engagement, it's the void. That deliberate, calculated silence isn't a retreat. It is a deafening verdict delivered with chilling composure. Manipulators and evil people feed on chaotic reactions, on the tears and the rage they can twist to fit their narrative. Your stillness, your refusal to grant them the energy of a response, is their kryptonite. It broadcasts a truth louder and more definitive than any argument ever could. I see your game and I refuse to play. You are beneath my energy. That unreadable quiet isn't passive weakness. It is the ultimate form of domination, leaving the manipulators swinging wildly at shadows in an empty ring, their power utterly neutralized by your refusal to participate in their circus. Your peace is a fortress and the gate is your silence. This profound stillness is not born of fear or an inability to articulate a comeback. It is a strategic conservation of your very essence, an application of Stoic wisdom that recognizes the futility of engaging with irrationality. You understand that over-explaining dilutes your truth and that arguing on their terms is a validation of their chaos. Your silence becomes a scalpel, not a blunt shield. It cleanly and precisely severs the parasitic connection they so desperately crave, cutting them off from their narcissistic supply. While others exhaust themselves in noisy, futile battles for understanding and validation, you conserve your formidable focus for what truly matters. Your mission, your growth, your internal state. That unnerving calm speaks volumes and sends a clear message. My peace is non-negotiable. Cross into this sacred territory, and you will simply vanish from my reality, not with a dramatic bang, but with the chilling and absolute finality of silence. Your quietude isn't weakness observed. It is strength masterfully enforced. 2. The forged core already made peace with pain. Forget the fragile positivity peddled by the masses. Your strength is of a different quality, tempered in the crucible of acknowledged darkness and hard-won experience. You didn't just survive the abyss of your past. You descended into its depths with purpose, sat with the screaming silence, and wrestled your own demons until they surrendered their wisdom. That intimate, unflinching familiarity with suffering isn't a wound you carry, it is the impenetrable armor you wear. Evil preys on hidden hurts, whispering insidious lies to unhealed scars, seeking the emotional leverage of past trauma. But you? You have already performed your own psychological autopsy, dissecting your shadows and integrating their lessons. The very pain that is designed to break other men became your personal blacksmith, forging a resilience within you that flinches at nothing. This journey transforms agony into awareness, and betrayal into a razor-sharp discernment that operates on a level most cannot comprehend. There is no hidden trauma for malevolence to exploit, no festering wound for their poison to infect, because you have already cleaned your own wounds. You have made peace with the storm within, so the thunder of external chaos no longer frightens you or even registers as a threat. This state is not one of numbness, but of profound, hard-won acceptance. You understand pain's language, its rhythms, and its futile attempts to control your emotional state. Having stared into the void and returned not empty, but whole, you walk with a grounded power that darkness and its agents cannot rattle. Your past is not a weakness you must hide. It is the very bedrock of your unshakable and unconquerable present. 3. The invisible fortress, boundaries are spiritual landmines. Your limits are not crude, brightly colored neon signs. They are sacred, invisible geometries woven directly into your energy field, a silent testament to profound self-respect. You don't feel the need to announce them with threats or negotiate their terms with those who would test them. They simply exist as fundamental and non-negotiable as gravity itself. And the moment someone disrespects that sacred space, the consequence is not a fiery confrontation, but the sudden, absolute, and chilling coldness of your withdrawal. This isn't an act of punishment. It is a dispassionate act of self-preservation, enacted with the precision of a surgeon. Toxic souls crave the drama of crossed boundaries, the tears, the arguments, the emotional chaos, as it provides the fuel for their twisted narrative. You deny them that sustenance utterly and completely. Cross one of your boundaries once and you retreat, a silent warning colder and more effective than any shout. Cross it twice and you enact a permanent deletion from your world. There is no fanfare, no lengthy explanation, just the deafening echo of their own actions reverberating in the void where your presence once was. This isn't cruelty, it is the ultimate expression of self-respect, a core tenet of the Stoic mind. You waste zero energy attempting to train others on how to treat you. Your boundaries are spiritual landmines, unseen, uncompromising, and devastatingly final when triggered. They exist not to protect your ego, but to safeguard the sanctuary of your soul, and any violation of that sacred ground guarantees immediate and permanent exile. In your world, your silence is the consequence. 4. The sovereign spirit, spiritually armed, not religiously programmed. Your connection to the divine, to the animating force of the universe, is not a hand-me-down robe inherited from tradition. It is a custom-forged, personal armor. You instinctively reject blind faith, hollow rituals, and dogma that has been designed over centuries to control the masses. Instead, you cultivate a fierce, internal communion, a direct, unfiltered line to your instinct, to universal truth, and to the profound stillness that resides within your core. Your spirituality is not about scripture memorized. It is about the resonant, undeniable knowing that vibrates in your soul when something aligns with truth or feels deeply wrong. Evil often hides in corrupted systems and under the guise of false virtue, demanding obedience and conformity. You, however, question everything, especially those who claim a monopoly on spiritual authority. Your faith is a roaring internal flame, not a flickering candle dependent on the shifting external winds of social approval. You have learned to listen intently to the divine whisper within, the internal compass that points true north regardless of which direction the deluded crowd is heading. This sovereign spirit terrifies controllers, manipulators, and all agents of evil. They cannot shame you with their labels, trap you with their twisted doctrine, or manipulate you through a manufactured fear of divine disapproval. If a concept or a command does not resonate in the deepest chamber of your soul, you reject it without hesitation and without apology. You are spiritually armed not because you follow a prescribed path, but because your connection is direct, unfiltered, and fiercely protected. You don't follow paths, you discern them with a clarity born from inner alignment. 5. The unblinking observer sees you before you see him. While others rush into a room desperate to be seen, you have mastered the profound and strategic art of seeing. You enter spaces not to impress or to project an image, but to absorb, to analyze, to understand the deeper dynamics at play. That stillness which is so often mistaken for detachment or arrogance is, in fact, a state of hypervigilant perception. You scan the room's subtle energy currents, you decode the fleeting micro-expressions that betray true intent, you map the shifting alliances, and you pinpoint the hidden agendas long before anyone even registers your analytical gaze. You don't just look at the surface. You read the unwritten script that is constantly playing out beneath the veneer of social interaction. Manipulators and deceivers rely heavily on the element of surprise, the fast charm offensive, and the confusion they sow to gain an upper hand. With you, that entire tactic dies at the door. Let's get brutally honest about perception. You watching this right now, you know that feeling. That split-second assessment when someone enters a room, the immediate gut check that tells you more than their words ever could. You don't need a dossier. You see the forced smile, the rehearsed charm, the subtle power play masked as friendliness. That's not paranoia, it's your operational system running at peak efficiency. On this channel, you understand, while the rest of the world gets lost in the noise and the performance, you're busy decoding reality in real time. Most people are walking around blindfolded by their own desires and distractions. You, on the other hand, see the puppet strings. That innate, finely tuned radar is your first silent line of defense. You must continue to hone it. You must trust it implicitly. It is the faculty that allows you to see the shadows others completely miss. 6. The anchored truth doesn't need to be believed. Your reality is not a democracy, and your truth is not up for a vote. You have absolutely no need for consensus, external validation, or a committee's confirmation for what you know to be true in your bones. While others scramble to justify their feelings, desperately explain their perceptions, or even beg to be understood by their abusers, playing right into the gaslighter's hands, you stand immovable and anchored in your own observed truth. You witnessed the inconsistency, you felt the palpable energy shift, you heard the lie thinly disguised as concern. For you, that is enough. You do not hand your conviction over to be debated, dissected, or dismissed by the very person who caused it. Evil thrives on sowing doubt, on twisting narratives until the victim begins to question their own sanity. You render that entire tactic useless. Your self-trust is an unassailable fortress, built not on ego, but on the solid bedrock of lived experience and a finely honed intuition. You have done the difficult inner work, you have faced your own shadows, and in doing so, you have learned the profound and unerring language of your gut. So when someone denies the obvious, spins fantastic tales to cover their tracks, or has the audacity to call you crazy, or too sensitive, your response is not defensiveness or anger. It is a quiet, unshakable certainty that radiates from your very core. You don't need to argue, you simply know. And that knowing, that calm inner conviction, acts as a powerful force field against their psychological poison. You are immune to the venom of external invalidation because your truth is internally sourced, internally verified, and utterly non-negotiable. 7. The pattern hunter reads patterns, not words. Words are smoke, actions are the fire. You understand this fundamental law of human nature with absolute clarity. Charm is cheap currency, promises are easily spoken and just as easily broken, and declarations of loyalty mean absolutely nothing without the backing of consistent, observable proof over time. While others get hypnotized by sweet talk, future faking, and grand declarations of intent, your focus remains laser-locked on the unfolding pattern of behavior. One inconsistency is a mental note for the file. A second one becomes a flashing red beacon of warning. A third inconsistency confirms a signature of deceit, a character flaw that cannot be ignored. You refuse to get distracted by the temporary performance on stage. You are far more interested in studying the director's cut of their life, which is revealed only through their choices and actions. This relentless focus on the hard evidence of choice makes you kryptonite to all forms of deception. Liars and manipulators rely on emotional manipulation, temporary bursts of sincerity, and exploiting the hope of their victims. You bypass all that emotional static and coldly analyze the data stream of their actions as if you were a detective at a crime scene. Does their timeline of events add up? Does their body language betray the words they are speaking? Does their treatment of others, especially those they have no use for, reveal their true character? You don't confront them prematurely or show your hand. You gather irrefutable proof through quiet, patient observation. By the time the manipulator realizes that you have seen their true pattern, you have already disengaged and moved on, leaving them talking to nothing but an echo of your former presence. You don't just hear lies, you see them in the data. 8. The scarred citadel built from scar tissue, not fragile flesh. Forget the concept of innocence preserved. That is a fantasy. Your strength is an architecture built from the ruins of past betrayals, forged in fires that would have incinerated lesser souls and turned them to ash. You didn't merely endure the brutality and heartbreak of life. You metabolized it, turning poison into medicine. Each wound, each shattering loss, each dark night of the soul was not an ending, but a brutal and transformative alchemy. The pain did not make you brittle or bitter. It fused your spirit into something dense, unyielding, and fiercely resilient. Your scars are not signs of weakness to be hidden away in shame. They are your battle honors, etched into the very fabric of your being, each one a silent testament to your survival, your adaptation, and your ultimate transformation. This personal history of trial by fire creates a presence that radiates a quiet, unassailable power. Evil and its human agents sense it immediately, not the loud bluster of an insecure man assuming strength, but the profound stillness of proven endurance. You have faced the abyss and returned not broken, but armored in your own reforged self. There is no hidden desperation in you for them to exploit, no gaping need for approval for them to manipulate, and no fragile ego for them to bruise with their petty insults. You are a citadel built not of fragile flesh, but of hardened scar tissue. You have been fire-tested and pressure-forged. As a result, you offer no purchase for the claws of pettiness or predation. They simply cannot break what has already been broken and has risen from the ashes, stronger and infinitely more aware. Your past is your impenetrable present. 9. The liberated exile has no herd to be banished from. The primal, deeply ingrained human fear of exile? You have transcended it. While other men contort themselves into unnatural shapes, swallow their own truth, and tolerate immense toxicity just to remain within the fragile, fickle circle of social belonging, you possess a freedom that is terrifying to the collectivist mind. You never truly joined the herd in the first place. Your sense of self, your validation, your worth, and your peace, none of it is mortgaged to the unpredictable approval of the crowd. For you, isolation isn't a punishment to be feared. It is your sanctuary, your strategic retreat where mental clarity blooms and your life's purpose is allowed to refocus without distraction. Evil and the herd mentality it commands wields social rejection as its ultimate weapon. Against you, that weapon is nothing more than a wet match. They can try to ostracize you, but it won't work. Their whisper campaigns are meaningless noise against the signal of your own self-trust. Their attempts to cancel you are irrelevant static to a man who operates on his own frequency. Being painted as the outsider is a badge you wear with a quiet and dignified indifference. Your identity is not, and never has been, a group project. You have consciously chosen solitude over shallow connection, authenticity over popularity, and inner peace over the exhausting and soul-crushing dance of people-pleasing. The herd's judgment holds zero power over you because you never granted it any authority in the first place. In fact, when the noise, the falseness, and the collective energy of the group becomes too draining, it is you who initiates the exile. You walk away unchained, unburdened, and utterly unmoved by their pathetic attempts to cast you out of a club you never wanted to join. 10. The hope immune, not addicted to hope. False hope is the sweetest and most insidious poison known to man, and you have developed the antidote through bitter experience. While so many good-hearted souls get trapped in endless, draining cycles of maybe this time, and I'm sure they'll change, addicted to the potential of a transformation that never manifests, you operate in the stark, clear, and unforgiving light of what is. You see the pattern, not the hollow promise. You analyze the behavior, not the apology. Evil and manipulative people rely on dangling the carrot of a better tomorrow to keep their victims shackled to a miserable today. You refuse to sip that slow-acting toxin. You are a ruthless realist who deals exclusively in observable reality, not in comforting illusions that pave the road to ruin. This ruthless clarity completely shatters the manipulator's playbook. Their cycles of love bombing, their tearful apologies, and their fantastical future fables fall upon deaf ears because you are no longer listening to their words. You are watching their actions. You don't argue with them about their potential. You audit their performance, and their performance always fails. When the evidence consistently points to toxicity, stagnation, or deceit, you don't issue dramatic ultimatums or beg for improvement. You enact the quiet, irrevocable sentence of complete removal from your life. There is no fanfare, no lingering explanation, just the decisive and final severing of a dead limb. You value your present peace infinitely more than the seductive, draining mirage of a future possibility that will never come to pass. You don't wait for people to change. You move towards environments where excellence already exists. 11. The divine solitude, not afraid to be alone with God. The modern world flees silence, desperately trying to drown it out with constant noise, endless distraction, and the desperate chatter of validation seeking. You, on the other hand, seek it out. You crave it. It is in the profound, expansive quiet, completely devoid of an audience and any external static, that you find your true north. This state is not loneliness, it is a deep and powerful communion. It is the sacred space where the voice of your instinct, of divine guidance, and of unvarnished truth resonates the loudest and clearest. While others are terrified of being alone with their own thoughts, you sit with them, you sit with God, and in that sacred space your clarity, your conviction, and your purpose are forged anew. This is your ultimate sanctuary, a place no one else can enter. This deep spiritual self-sufficiency is the final, impenetrable layer of your divine armor. Evil thrives in the chaos of the crowd, in the confusion of competing voices, and in the deep anxiety of being disconnected from one's true self. Your regular practice of divine solitude starves it of the oxygen it needs to survive in your presence. You are not distracted or desperate for external validation. You are centered, whole, and full. You draw your strength, your wisdom, and your unwavering peace from a source that no external force can ever pollute, manipulate, or take away from you. There is no insecurity within you for evil to twist, no craving for external affirmation for it to exploit. You are anchored in a profound inner knowing, a direct line to something transcendent and eternal. A man who is at peace in the silent presence of the divine, completely comfortable in his own soul's company, is a fortress without a gate. Evil cannot touch that which is already full, aligned, and utterly grounded in sacred silence. These 11 signs are not cosmic accidents or privileges bestowed upon the undeserving. They are the shields you have forged yourself, piece by piece, in the fires of self-discipline, introspection, and unwavering commitment to truth. This is the path of the Sigma male, a path of quiet strength, unshakable integrity, and a deep, internal connection to a higher power that guides your every move. It is a path that naturally repels the darkness because you have chosen, time and time again, to cultivate the light within. If this message resonated with you, if you recognized your own journey and your own shields in these words, then you have found your tribe. You are not alone on this path. This is the Sigma male community, and our work here is a testament to the power of masculine self-mastery. Don't just be a passive observer of your own growth. Solidify your commitment to this path right now. Click that like button to signal your alignment with this philosophy. Go to the comments and share which of these 11 shields resonated most powerfully with you. Your story empowers us all. Share this video with a brother you know who is walking this path, perhaps in isolation, and needs this reinforcement. And if you have not already done so, subscribe and make sure you ring that notification bell. This is not just a channel, it is an arsenal for the mind, a forge for the spirit, and a brotherhood for the men committed to living a life of purpose, strength, and honor. Stay vigilant, stay sovereign, and continue to build your fortress. Until next time.